right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Baseball and Coffee. Thursday, October 30th. We just watched Game 5 of the World Series last night, which was the Trey Savage legendary performance breakout show. If you didn't know who he was before, you probably haven't been watching this channel. But if you did know, if you didn't, you certainly got to know him last night. I mean, holy cow. 12 strikeouts, no walks. 12 strikeouts, no walks. Game 5 of the World Series rookie year. Only made 3 regular season starts. Second time you're facing the Los Angeles Dodgers in LA. Everything on the line. Hard to imagine a more impressive performance. I already made the third video. This is already in here. I just made it a little while ago. It's currently processing, and then it'll be fired up on the internet. Just made it, just watched it. And we'll review here on the stream, of course, but dude, this guy's unbelievable. I don't really know what else to say. His slider command, his splitter command was back yesterday. Splitter got looped back in. Just enough fastball. I like the targeting more on the fastballs. And not to mention, obviously, the Blue Jay offense. 2 home runs right out the gate off Blake Snell gave him a little bit of breathing room. So let's go ahead and get started today a little bit on this Wago from last night. We're not going to do a whole lot of game 6 talk yet because we'll do that tomorrow. But job's not done. A lot more baseball to be played if you want to win it. But they're in a great spot. As a Jays fan, though, this doesn't feel real. Still one more to go through to stay locked in. Yoshi will be tough. Yes, that's the other side of this. Arguably the best pitcher in the world at this moment, who's still pitching at this moment, is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So coming off of back-to-back CGs, Dodgers are once again putting their trust in him. Will he be able to bring them back and get them to Game 7, where then anything can happen? But this was a huge game. Game 5 is always massive. So interesting to say. We have some questions here. I did see a little bit of what people are talking about here in the chat. Did I see Blake Snell talking? Where is that? He basically called the Jays lineup lucky except for Vlad. I get why he feels that way. He mentioned ambushing a lot of times, but that's the strategy. That's not lucky. That's the strategy. Schneider ambushed his ass for a home run. Yesterday morning, I was calling for fastballs inside, which is what it looked like they tried to do right out the gate, and it almost looked like the Blue Jays were anticipating it, which is really fascinating to even think about. After watching the game, I'm going to say a lot of it was Savage. He pitched tremendous. There was only a few really good pitches to hit in this game by the Dodgers. They did chase too much. They had a few opportunities, and you're going to see when we look at this game in a second. The offense is just simply not there. Some really bad at-bats by Will Smith. Some bad Mookie had nothing. Freddie had nothing going against Savage. So your 2, 3, and 4 hitters looked really bad. Shohei hit that one ball really hard, but I thought he got pitched pretty tough overall. Edmonds trying to bat right-handed, trying to hit line drives. I felt like they had a great game plan for him. They just kept slidering him to death. He was on top of the ball all night. Muncy, he tried, but it wasn't. Again, Savage was just on top of it today. Kike got the one pitch to hit and didn't miss it. Other than that, they pitched him really well. So I'm going to give more credit to the pitching than the Dodgers offense, but there's got to be an element of the Dodger offense definitely pressing a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Before you even watch, I'm just going to hang out in the chat for a minute. Savage threw 2 bad pitches. How important was it for Kirk to step up and chat with him to lock back in? Seemed to have a big effect. In general, Kirk's great. Kirk caught a lot of really borderline pitches in this game for strikes. I'm assuming he's calling the game the whole way. So he's got these guys in a rocking chair. He was reading the minds of these Dodger hitters really well. So I give a huge credit to Alejandro Kirk as well. He's been tremendous working with Savage. I think New York Yankees, Seattle, and LA all had the same plan to attack up and in with fastball sinkers. Jay's probably picked up on that. Well, if I gave a lot of credit in my video, and you guys will probably watch it later. I give a lot of credit to Bieber and Scherzer kind of showing the way and the method to pitch to some of these lefties. A lot of up and in fastballs, up and in cutters, top of the zone stuff. Savage tried to do quite a bit of that. So let's just waste no time. Let's just break down Trey Savage a little bit. Look, I just watched this whole video. So there's a whole video on this if you want to watch it. But while we're on the stream, the biggest things that I just noticed that were obvious differences from game 1 to game 5. Number 1, just in terms of usage, slider and splitter were 72% of the pitches he threw. So in the first game, which I have pulled up over here on the right, he was basically 50% fastball. So he takes his fastball, brings it way down, and decides, I'm going to go ahead and pitch backwards in this game and find a way to get some first pitch strikes with the off speed. And that's exactly what he did. If we look at the first pitch strikes down here, 54% is not terribly impressive, but if you get a little more granular and you look at it by pitch type, it becomes more impressive. 6 of 7 when throwing the slider for first pitch strikes, and 2 of 4 when throwing the splitter for first pitch strikes. So that's 8 of 11 first pitch strikes on off speed, and I think that was a big deal. Almost none of those balls were really hacked at, and if they were already at the bottom of the zone. You're probably looking for a fastball. He does have a good fastball, but that combination really put the Dodgers behind the 8 ball. They were in a big, tough spot. And the ability to land off-speed pitches for strikes is something he definitely couldn't do in game 1. It was a huge difference from that game to this game. Obviously, in the whiff department, it never gets any better than the splitters. 7 whiffs on 10 swings with the splitters and 14 whiffs on 29 swings with the slider. Both tremendous. So his off-speed pitches are some of the best in the game. And it's funny because metrically, they're not impressive. They're sort of just weird. But the angle makes it all play. So let's get into this a little bit right out the gate. And I'll demonstrate a few things that I thought were interesting. Number 1 with Shohei. Here's one example right away. It's the first pitch split it's the 1-0 split for a strike. Now, in the previous game, he only threw like a few splitters the whole freaking game. So the fact that he's able to go 1-0 split right away to Shohei and risk going 2-0 if he doesn't have feel for it shows me that this kid has faith in himself, has faith in his pitches. He doesn't get discouraged because he didn't have it in his last start. He's like, I'll have it today. So that was a good early sign right away that he's throwing splits for strikes. Dodgers are clearly, after that last time against them, they're keyed in on fastballs and sliders, mostly probably fastballs in the zone, because he didn't show a great ability to get ahead with the off-speed before. And then toggling between splitters and sliders in the mid-count. He didn't do a ton of that in the first game, but he did a lot of it in this game. And this was a very typical type of swing and miss that he achieved. Guys swinging over the slider. And he also, whether it was righties or lefties, he absolutely owned this corner of the plate last night. He owned the glove side corner. So he's making really tough swing decisions to both guys. And it's even trickier because his slider moves the wrong way. So it comes back to the plate a lot. So just because the ball looks like it's going to be a little bit inside to a lefty, that ball might come back to the corner. So there's a lot of indecision. And then on top of that, another thing that I wanted to note, you know, the slider and the splitter, they play a little bit differently, but there's a lot in common with them in that they both have a little bit of arm side movement and they're playing a depth game as well. Like, so it's an angle game, it's a chase game. These pitchers are designed to get swing and miss. But one thing I like about them is that they're not exactly the same due to 2 factors. One, the spin rate. So his spin rate on his slider, 2302, and the velocity is basically 89. So 89 at 2300, right? And then you go back and look at the split, it's 85 at 1871. So it's much less spin, about 400 to 500 less spin, and it's also about 4 to 5 less miles an hour. So even if you're like, you know what, they kind of move similarly, I'll be able to annihilate one of these pitches, the reality is they're not the same speed and they have different spins. So there's a visual effect and there's a speed effect. And I love that so much. from Savage. So kind of utilizing that combination made him really deadly. And it even showed up here because he had him so aware of the inside corner of the spin. This is a pitch that Shohei usually can drive through pretty well or not swing at, but there's a little bit of hesitation of what this is out of the hand, and he got a lot of these types of swings, emergency hacks. I also like the no panic drill from Savage on the fielding play here. Little popped up, but just catches it with no problem. So that was the first thing I wanted to point out. He did a lot of that all game long. But really, I thought the feel for the slider was just ridiculous. This is a 3-pitch punch out of Mookie, and it couldn't go any better. Dots the 4-seam down. This is probably the best pitch Mookie had to hit the whole day, and it's the first pitch he sees, and he doesn't swing at it. So, unfortunately for Mookie, he doesn't get a good pitch to hit the rest of the day. And it sucks for him, because then he throws him 2 absolute bastard sliders back-to-back. 1, and you can see how this ball hugs the outside corner, which is already where Mookie doesn't want to be, but then on top of it, it's actually getting below the zone as well. So the whole series, they've been very, very good at staying away. With Mookie, he's trying to pull everything, and ultimately, if they just keep it away, he's going to have to start selling out for it, which means you're going to chase some more pitches. So there's one chase, and here's another chase. And it's just super easy for him, if he's ahead in the count, to get you to swing below the zone. And Mookie's nowhere near this. Nowhere freaking near this slider. And I thought righties, I think righties are still a better bet versus Savage than the lefties. But he showed me today that he's going to have the ability to dominate righties too. And a lot of it is that command of that outside corner and kind of playing that comeback action on the slider, but also that depth factor. And once he gets them aware out there, he can bust them in, or he can split them, which kind of runs in on the hands as well. So I'll give you an example of that. That was Mookie's first strikeout. The second strikeout was a little bit different, as he gets ahead in a similar way. Like, here's the 1-1 slider. You see that thing kind of comes back to the zone. Great catch by Kirky again, but that comeback action, and now his awareness is super away, out and over. And at this point, he had only seen fastballs and sliders, but I love the fact that he also was able to loop in the split off of that lane. This split comes out in that outer lane and then shifts down in. So Mookie finally gets a pitch inside, but it's not in the count. He's looking for it, and also he's seen so many pitches outside that now his attention's all over there. And then this pitch, not only does it slide in on him, but I mentioned the speed differential. 84 on that split, and he just saw a slider at about 89. So again, it's about 4 or 5 miles an hour, and I think that's a big deal. I think that's a big difference. So that was a little bit of the effect he had going last night on the righties, and there's a million at-bats to showcase basically how it went down, but it was the same things over and over again. Tommy Edman tried his hardest in this game. The adjustment to go right-handed is supposed to be in an effort to be able to hit this split. But when you have such a flat bat path like Tommy Edman, even right on right, and this ball coming into you instead of away from you, I mean, you see he's just over it. Like, he's completely flat and over it. And this played the whole night, including the last out of Savage's game where he was tiring. He still was able to take advantage of Edman's flat bat path as he gets the chopper here. The third. So I think the real keys to this game for Savage were obviously the execution of the off-speed pitches early in the count to get ahead, but also just the advanced feel for the slider. This is the best slider that he's had since he's been in the big leagues. It dictated everything in this outing. He used it to upshift to fastball, to downshift to slider. He mostly kept it away from righties and into lefties. It's a tremendous pitch. It's a weird pitch visually. And it was really good. All right, here's the 1 home run he allowed. So we've been talking about this, and we'll continue to talk about this the rest of the way. There's several hitters in the Dodger lineup. Mookie Betts, Pages, and certainly Kike Hernandez, who pretty much everything that they do is for pull side damage, right? Kike wants to pull every single ball. Yesterday, it manifested in Game 4. It manifested itself with a lot of pitching away, him making contact, flying out to right field because he doesn't have enough juice to go out there. But in this game, they did back a couple pitches up that he could pull, and he was able to, clip one out. And a big part of it was he fell behind and he threw a predictable heater. It's probably the only time in the game that he threw a predictable heater. And it's right here. And this ball leaks middle, up, and in, which you can see it's right where Kike's swing is grooved. You couldn't throw a better pitch for him to hit. And that was probably one of, I'd say, 2 to 3 mistakes he made the whole game. And yep, credit to Kike Hernandez. He's a great playoff hitter. And he does it once again. But if you don't give him these pitches, he can't do this damage. So as we move on to game 6 and 7, whoever's facing Kike, it's more of the same. Just stay away, stay slow away, and that's where you're going to have success. This was the one mistake he made, and he did get clipped there a little bit. Let me take a quick break from this to look in the chat because we got a lot of good stuff in the chat as we go. Most pitches he's thrown in an outing since college last year at Coastal. Yeah, I mean, look, you got to give so much credit to the Blue Jays. There's 2 huge moves that have set them up with one freaking game to win, to get the World Series championship and bring it back to Toronto. 2 big moves in my mind. I know there's other moves, but there's 2 in my mind that have made, just all the difference in the world. Number 1, the decision to draft Trey Savage and to develop him properly and slowly and give him a long runway so that theoretically he had a chance to impact the roster late in the season. Now, they couldn't imagine this, so a lot of this was serendipitous, and obviously you have to give all the credit to Savage himself, but they put a great environment around him. He comes up to a team of old school, really intelligent, really competitive veterans, Scherzer, Bassett, Barrios, Gausman, there's some others, and they bring him into an environment that was a fun, collaborative environment, and they allowed him to kind of be himself and, create an environment where this type of performance could blossom and could happen. That was number 1. Number 2 was the Bieber trade. The Bieber trade, I talked about it yesterday. It's a trade that a lot of teams aren't willing to do. You have a guy who's on the injured list. It's Shane Bieber. Even though he has the Cy Young Award, I'm sure a lot of the stuff models are a little down on him. It doesn't seem like a crazy impact, but it's had a crazy impact. They would not be here without Shane Bieber. They would be nowhere near here without the combination of Bieber and Savage, because then they'd be left with Gausman, Scherzer, and then Barrios, who ended up getting hurt, and they'd be piecing it together. Lauer would be starting games. They'd be in the situation that Detroit was in and some of these other teams were in, where they have one guy that they trust and the rest of it's patched together. Instead, these 2 decisions play off huge. Whoever drafted Savage and saw the potential in him, and they developed him accordingly and brought him along slowly in the proper way to affect this season. And then the trade for Bieber, which was a big cojones trade, and I really, really like it. So I think that was huge. Let's see what else we got here in the chat. What is it about Trey that allowed him to reach the majors so quickly? 2 things. Number one, he has great stuff. It's the angle. The angle is so unique. There's nobody else in the big leagues quite like it. So simply put, you put anybody in the big leagues that does something totally unique, you're going to have a shot at success. But number 2, I think it's his demeanor. This kid's locked in. Not rattled at all. Knows his game. Knows who he is. Definitely believes in himself. And has the ability to really focus. You can just see it. A big separator in the game, and they don't talk about it enough. It's just your ability to concentrate when you're out there and be in your own little world. And you can see from very beginning, he's that type of guy. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't have a lot of emotion out there, in a good or bad way. You don't see a lot. Balls go in the dirt, no big deal. He also seems to field his position well, so he does a lot of fundamental things really well. He throws enough strikes, and he's got enough unique pitching talent in terms of his pitches where it was kind of a no-brainer that he could get out. So now it's just a question of, could he do it at the highest level? What was the nerves going to be like? What were the adjustments that teams were going to make? But I love the fact that they gave the league no chance to expose this, to get exposure to this guy. I think that's a big part of the early success and domination. We'll be following his career with great fascination from here on out. But there's such an advantage when you're a unique pitcher like this, and you hit the league for the first time. Ross Atkins has been making a point to get guys with good character. Definitely a reason they got Bieber. This is important to me too. If when I'm running a team, character definitely plays. You get to a higher percentile of people's level of play if you have good character guys in the clubhouse, and you create a good environment for curiosity, intellectual curiosity, that is, and competitiveness, and people collaboration, people helping each other, people learning from each other. And I think that's why they talk about chemistry, but it is true. Like the people that you have in that room definitely can help dictate a lot of the outcomes. I did see this too. There was a good camera angle. I don't think we have it, but Scherzer was juiced when Savage got that double play, and I just love it. Max is not a salty vet where he's hating on these young guys. He's the type of guy that's like, if you're good, come help us, come win. That's what this is all about. I can recall when I was with the Mets, he was one of the guys that was telling them to push Alvarez. He felt like Alvarez was definitely ready to catch. And, I just love it. Don't be a hater. A lot of the old guys, when I was coming around, were salty freaking haters. And let's be honest, the young guys oftentimes can really contribute to World Series champions. So why not build them up and let them help you? All right, what else we got here? It's amazing Savage's progression over the years. He went from fastball 12-6 curve only, pitching out of jams freshman year, to changing to slider splitter his sophomore year. Yeah, I've been talking with some other guys. I've been wondering why he doesn't have that 12-6 curve. It makes sense out of his arm slot. Maybe that will be coming, and that will be his 2 speeds down pitch, but clearly he doesn't need it yet. So if I'm him, I'm just writing what I got. But that's interesting to know. Thanks for that comment, CBA, because I was just wondering why he didn't throw a 12-6 curve. It would have made sense given his arm angle. All right, I'm going to skip forward a little bit because there's a ton of... You guys are killing it in the chat. I love it. Thanks for joining us, Belonius Bilade. I think that's how you say it. I love that name. But we're doing this thing. Max mentioned all the starting pitchers were in the locker room with Savage when the Jays hit the 2 home runs. I don't know if that's normal or not. Yeah, especially these dudes. Bassett and Scherzer, obviously, I know really well. I hung out with both of their wives during Game 3. A lot of times the starting pitchers will be with the guy who's starting the game while he's warming up, and they'll all walk in as a pack. That's probably what happened yesterday. And in Dodger Stadium, when you warm up in the visiting bullpen, you actually don't come across the field. You walk through the back way, back through the clubhouse to get to the dugout. So all the boys probably came back through the clubhouse, the catacombs behind, and underneath Dodger Stadium with Savage, and they were probably inside on the TV when those 2 home runs happened, which was huge. That gave breathing room right away. So, all right. We've talked a lot about Savage. We can probably skip back over to him in a little bit, but I want to go watch a little bit of the Jays offense versus Snell. This is one more good comment and another tidbit. Ooh, this guy clearly knows a little bit about Savage, so I'm liking that. Wow, 259 concurrent viewers. This is a new record. Thank you, guys. He just gave it up because he spiked it so much as a freshman. They wouldn't let him come into a clean inning his freshman year. Interesting. So maybe he had some command problems early, and then eventually he earned it, And, interesting thing about college baseball is it's a winning environment. So, I don't know. There's something about being in that winning environment. Like, there's truly nothing quite like college baseball where, like, you have to win every game. Like, there's not 162 of these things, so you really got to win. All right, there's more stuff to look at from Savage, of course, but I want to go ahead and watch Snell in this first inning, which was just a freaking grindy first inning. It's the second time that they've grinded him down in the first, and it started with the first 3 pitches of the game, just elite ambush tactics. First pitch of the game, fastball, slammed up and in. Now, I don't know if I was right or wrong then. Honestly, with me, I was calling for him to like, one of the things I said we need to look out for is we need Blake to be hitting this up and in spot. That's something he wasn't doing in Game 1. Typically, when he gets to this spot, it sets up everything away. Everything else sets up that changeup away, the curveball to the back foot, the slider chase in, even the fastball up and away flyer. But it's almost like Schneider decided, I'm going to get a fastball. I'm going to be out ahead early on it, and I'm going to make it happen. So Credit to Schneider. He kind of anticipated it, and he gets the barrel to it. First pitch of the game sets the tone for the Jays. Only 97.5, but when you backspin it perfectly to left, you're going to get rewarded. There's a home run. 1-0 Toronto, and then Vlad came up. Fastball in, strike one, and fastball again. So, yeah, I mean, we all felt it. He needed to establish the fastball. It felt like the move. They were kind of all over that changeup approach that he had his last start. There was a lot of nibbling that went on. He wasn't getting the fastball to this location. He actually gets it in there again here, but this is a third consecutive fastball, and Vlad is all over it. So maybe there was a game plan to come out and be aggressive on the fastball versus Snell, and it paid off huge. 2-0. 104.4 at 24, 394. Vlad's homer was the hardest swing in the postseason with contact. Wonder how hard he swung at that, bat speed wise. Because he got jammed a little bit here if he only hit it 104 and it was his hardest swing. Either way, though, he beats him to the spot. We'll watch it one more time from this angle, as that's his 8th home run of the postseason, which is now 2 behind Arozarena's record. So it's in jeopardy. And I have a feeling, you know, I've already made 2 videos on Vlad, just like I made 2 on Savage before I made the 3rd one today. Pretty good chance we're headed towards the 3rd video on Vlad. If he's named World Series MVP, then we'll be watching all of his at-bats. But those are the 2 early runs on Snell. He ends up going 6 2/3. A bunch of his runs got cashed in late by Enriquez. 7 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Threw 116 pitches. In all honesty, oh, here's the speed on that. 87.4 bat speed. That's stupidly high. That is stupid high. But getting back to this discussion on Snell, look, I mean, he gave him everything he had. Without those 2 home runs at the beginning of the game, he threw pretty well after that. You go look at the line score here. You know, nothing in the 2nd, nothing in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, nothing in the 5th, nothing in the 6th. So he goes 4 of the next 5 innings scoreless. Now, how did they score that run in the 4th again? Yeah, Varsho triple. All right, let's watch this at bat versus Varsho. Varsho clipped him for the home run the first time. It was middle down. I wondered how this matchup would play out this 2nd time, because now it's like Varsho's seen him enough where he's got an idea of what he can and can't handle. And any production you're getting out of the lefties versus Snell is just a bonus. So curveball, slider, curveball.
George Springer, what is the latest?
Georgie is
curveball, and you know, I flew home pretty late last night, so that's why I was pretty not willing to watch every second of the game, but I did see what was going on. Yeah, it should have been a single, but it would have been a hit unless Teoscar got a bad jump. He ends up getting the 3rd on this. This is horrible baseball by Teoscar. I know that you want to make a play, but you keep a guy at first base here, and you just field this ball on a hop. And, you know, it's not really a rally yet. Instead, he goes for the dive here. This is just bad baseball. Let's see Teoscar's jump. Not a great route. Doesn't go directly to it. Kind of comes around it a little bit. He's just not a great outfielder. You know, this is why I was like, well, you know, if they played Springer in the outfield, he can't be any worse than Teoscar is. So, like, you know. Anyway, not a great play there. That set them up, because then early Clement. He's going to get the sac fly on the curveball. And that was the 3rd run. Other than that, Snell actually, at times, was pretty good. I'm going to watch some of his strikeouts. Change up, down and away. Beautiful pitch. He threw no more heaters until Jimenez in the 1st inning. Let's see. Is that true? All right, Bichette. Curveball, 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 changeup. Wow. Kirk. Changeup, slider, slider. Wow. Then slider to Varsho. Then Clement. Changeup, slider. Wow. Barger, slider. IKF, change up, change up, change up, curveball, change up. Holy shit, you're right. And then Jimenez, curveball, slider, fastball. So this was pitch number 25. So from pitch 4 until 26, I should say, from pitch 4 until 26, he only threw off speed. That's 23 off speeds in a row. So, I mean, he tried to make the adjustment, and he did. But that early strike was big, man. That gave a lot of breathing room. I think that probably helped Savage kind of slow himself down a little bit. And yeah, I get Snell probably looked pissed at his defense at times, or the umpire, or the situation. And I know his interview was the way it was. There's just a lot of frustration, man. You know, he's been pitching good. He probably felt like he threw the ball fairly well and got nothing to show for it. Now, where the game really fell apart was here in the 7th inning. They're pushing him deep into this game. And honestly, it was the right move for the Dodgers. You don't chase this game with a whole bunch of relievers because you're going to need them in games 6 and 7. If you're already losing and you go ahead and chase with more relievers, you're just giving more exposure. So at this point, you're burning Snell as much as you can, right? You're just pitching him as much as you can. But let's go check out this 7th inning rally. Barger.
2-2 to Barger.
Little inside out swing down the line. Barger was not in the lineup that game 1. They opted to go with Miles Straw. He's had some pretty bad at-bats, so this time they say, you know what, Barger, you get the at-bat even though it's left on left. And he ends up igniting this big-ass rally here. Little chopper to left for a single. And Kiner Falefa. Barger already on second, probably from a wild pitch, I think. This was a nice play by Mookie. So he doesn't move up here, but we're baseball fans. This was a nice play by Mookie. He's getting really good at throwing off that right foot. If he wins the Gold Glove this year, that's kind of legendary, although I know he's struggling in the postseason. Then we got a long at-bat to Jimenez for the walk. Let's watch this at-bat. Barger scored on 3 wild pitches. That's right. He did. It looked like Will Smith was having a really hard time blocking. And Enriquez threw some balls like crazy wide. I had a good feeling that Enriquez was going to appear in this game because he did look so good in that extra inning game, game 3. But maybe the moment was a little bit much for Enriquez in this one, and he didn't have the same level of feel. We'll watch him in a second. This is that at-bat with Jimenez. Taps this 2-2 foul. So he did have count leverage, wasn't able to put him away. 4-seam here. And then 3-2 curveball. Just doesn't get it. So, you know, Snell was deep at this point in the game. That was pitch 110. They ended up giving him one more batter, and he does come up with a great at-bat here where he ends up punching out Schneider on a changeup. Gets to the 2-out situation. I was wondering if they're going to push him even further, but instead they go to Enriquez versus Vlad Jr. And he did not have a good day, and this kind of ended the game for real. Dodgers had no shot after this. So here's Edgardo Enriquez. You're bringing him in because he's got electric shit. And you like the matchup right on right versus Vlad. You don't want to like let Vlad see Snell another time. But, you know, there's a reason why he's not one of your trusted members of your bullpen yet in his career. And it's because he's a little inconsistent. He doesn't have great command, especially off his breaking ball. And this is just a crazy miss for 3-2. Completely cuts it, and that was a big run. That was very deflating at that moment. It felt pretty much impossible to come back, and it only got worse. But here's what I think happens a little bit. Will Smith cheats in a little bit on the target here to Vlad, which I think is the right pitch. But I've talked about this a little bit. When you're a young player and you're facing a superstar and you're not comfortable with your command, you can get spooked trying to go in right on a big time player. This happens a lot with guys that are maybe a little bit soft or maybe just a little bit nervous about hitting guys. They're too nice. He needs to drive the shit out of this ball in, and if he misses, he needs to miss in this area and just say, fuck it, I don't care that you're Vlad. Instead, he gator arms it, gets a little skittish to go in there, and ends up pulling it way the other way, and that's why I think he makes that mistake. So if I'm the Dodgers with this guy, I'm not calling inside pitches anymore. I just feel like he didn't have the cojones to do it. And then Bo Bichette, who, you know, he has really impacted this series in a positive way. We were wondering what they were going to get out of him. He's looking a lot more healthy now. So good job by the trainers. Good job by Bo. He stays inside a fastball. Sprays it the other way. Gets them a 5th run. And I believe there might be a 6th run. Maybe on a wild pitch or something here. I mean, just the command's just all over the place. He could not buy a strike. So that was it. Tough outing. I've been there, obviously. You come in to face 3 batters, and you're out of there really, really quick. Bonda had to come in, and they end up finishing up the game with Bandit and Trine, and they're still trying to get Trine in some positive work. So he does. He goes 3 up, 3 down with 3 ground outs. Maybe he's back in the trust tree for games 6 and 7. Wow, Blake Butera is the new manager of the Nationals. 33 years old. Well, that kind of makes sense. A little bit. I know Mitch put it in here earlier in the chat if I can find it. So he's the major league manager at 33. I love that. That's cool. But it makes sense because Paul Taboni just got hired over there. He's a young GM, so he's bringing somebody that he knows, obviously, with him. And they're going to look to grow together. Nats manager Blake Butera. Is he related to Drew? I don't know. Is he? Drew Butera, I always thought was a possible manager candidate, to be honest. Drew Butera. I mean, Sal Butera is his father. It feels like they have to be related. This is a baseball family, right? Let's see. We could be wrong. We could be straight up wrong. Yeah, Blake Butera played at Boston College, brother of Drew Butera. So there it is. They are related. According to AI. This is still Drew Butera. Let's see, personal. I don't know why we're looking at Wikipedia. Wikipedia still says that I live in a place I don't live, so it's probably not true. I don't know. Maybe somebody else can totally confirm, but I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, I need to double check that. Maybe somebody else will figure that out for sure. Struggling teams trying to poach player development guys from successful oars. We'll see in 5 years how that fares. Yeah. Wow, we're at 320 viewers. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. This is fantastic. We are crushing it today. I'm very appreciative of you guys. So that was the offense in yesterday's game. They tacked one more on in the 8th, as I mentioned. But yeah, Savage to Dominguez to Hoffman. And we're going back to game 6. The matchup in game 6 will be Yamamoto and Gausman. So Gausman threw really well. This is a rematch of game 2. That'll be an interesting game 6 for sure. How many people are actually drinking coffee? I am. I was thinking about making another coffee, actually. Drop a like, people. Drop a like. All right. So, what else is there to really review from this last baseball game that just happened? What would be fun to watch? I guess we could watch more of You Savage. It's just like crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm thinking about releasing my video. So if we maybe I'll take a second here. Dodger bullpen. Sasaki, Jays bullpen, Bassett, Farland, Dominguez, Fluharty, and the Circle of Trust. All right, hold on. Let me just go to my YouTube studio for a second and make my video public. Content. We need to make this public. Publish. All right. So that's up now. Don't switch off of my show though. Maybe I should have done that later. All right. There's a question here about the betting man. If you were a betting man, and I know you aren't, but who do you think is coming out of this series the champ with the way things stay at the minute? I don't think you can. It's all recency bias, but it's also not. I don't think you can watch this series and not think the Jays have not been the more impressive team. Even in Game 3, they're right there. They were right there to win that game. The starting pitching advantage of the Dodgers has shown to be a little bit overblown given this matchup. The guys that hunt the strikeouts, that they're big strikeout guys, so that's Snell, that's Glasnow, even Ohtani to some extent. The Blue Jays make it a little hard for them to execute the way they want to. So I know they have Yamamoto. I expect Yamamoto to be amazing. I haven't seen anybody getting onto his game yet, and I think he's got a good shot to bring the Dodgers into Game 7. But even looking ahead to a Game 7, I find it hard pressed to believe that the Dodger offense is going to wake up the way the Jays offense has. Now that could happen, but I think the Jays right now have shown themselves to be the better team in this matchup. So it's a little odd, but it's kind of the way I feel about it. I'm so nervous about Varland, though. He's been overexposed. I agree. Good thing he didn't throw yesterday. He's probably got one more good outing in him. And this series is certainly not over. Yamamoto for a third CG in a row, totally in play. This guy's a freaking stud. So if he comes through, we're going to have a legendary Game 7 on our hands. If not, the Jays are going to bring the championship back to Toronto. It's going to be interesting to see. Game 6s are like do or die, obviously, for both sides. Nobody wants to go to a Game 7 unless you're the team down in the series and you're trying to push it there, but you're willing to do anything it takes to get it there, and then you'll worry about 7 later. So Game 6s are fun. As bleak as it looks, LA just needs 2 wins, and if anybody can do it, it's them. I would agree with that. What else we got here in the chat? Can you talk about the play where the pitcher threw third time to the base to make a guy get off the base in Game 4? Yeah, this was sure. Yeah, this was Varland, right, in Game 4. Dodgers, Mariners, not Mariners. Mariners are long gone. See ya. Blue Jays, game number 4, which was the Bieber game, and it was Varland in there. I'm trying to remember who was pitching. It was when Muncy got on second, right? So then at what point did he want to balk a guy over there?
In their first run.
Maybe it was here.
No. And pick up.
Still has the man on second here, so now I'm totally all right. So at some point he gets him over to third with step-offs. The reason why you would do this is because if you're worried about tipping, like you have a man on second, they can usually see right into your glove, right? This isn't a great view, but if you have a man on second, sometimes they can kind of look into your pitches here. And in the old days, if you had a signed sequence going on down here, they could pick it and kind of relay it. So a lot of times guys that aren't comfortable with that, there's really no difference between second and third when you have a big lead anyway, so just send him to third. So that's probably what happened, I would guess. Am I getting this wrong? Oh, so it was a balk intentionally. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did this. Kenley Jansen used to do this with the Dodgers quite a bit. So nothing new there. That's it's a fairly used strategy. It's something that I would do at times, for sure. Let's see what else we got here. On the character point, it's also why they got rid of Alek Manoah. I don't agree, JQ. From what I've heard on the inside, people really liked Manoah. He got frustrated when his career started going the other direction, and he was definitely a very obnoxious guy on the mound. He was always talking shit, being very demonstrative, always felt like he was looking for a fight. But I've heard that people liked him in the clubhouse, man. That he was a good dude. He just got so big, the pitch clock kind of hurt him. It's crazy because he was third in the Cy Young, I think 2021. And And obviously, it's been a steep decline from there. Maybe it was 2022, but it was one of those years. So I haven't heard that he was a total shithead. I know he might look like it on the field, but I haven't heard that. So character important, though, no doubt. Let's see here. I know people poke fun at the Dodgers buying the championship, but it feels like all they did was buy their only 2 wins with 350 and 700 million. The Dodgers don't have everything that they bought. A lot of their relievers that they bought that were supposed to be huge weapons this time of year are not playing. Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates. Where is Gratterall? Where is Kopech? There's others. Vesia, he's out because of a family matter. But they were supposed to have even more dudes than this. There's even a whole bunch of starters that got hurt as well. So I just think they ran into a tough matchup. I think that this Dodger team is good enough to win a championship, but playing against the Jays is a tough matchup, in my opinion. Let's not forget Yamamoto threw 138 pitch CG in the Japan series a couple years back, so he's got it in him to throw huge numbers out there. Is Savage apparently getting paid under $60K on the year? Teams will usually top that up, right? Nope, definitely not. He will get a full share of the playoff money, so that's big money. He's going to get a couple $100,000 out of that. But no, he'll go right back to making the league minimum. They might give him a slight raise off the league minimum out of the generosity of their own hearts, but teams don't typically do that. It's just the nature of the beast. 0 to 3, you're making way less money than everybody else. Oh, Call had a comfy take on a nasty knuckle curve, and that's why they move him. Well, okay, I'll go back and look.
So you talk about the home run from now the 0-1.
Yeah, I mean this first pitch strike, I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I think they just felt more comfortable with him on second. Let's look at Varland's setup. I mean, you can't really see much, I don't think. Unless there's like a elbow angle or a wrist angle. Something along this lines that would give away the pitch. I don't really think you're gonna really see much. But anyway. And yeah, there is no way to signal intentional balk. Can't do that. Not that I know of. All right, what else we got? Yep, Evan Phillips, Tommy John as well. That's another guy they could have had. The Jays aren't the 2021 Giants or anything, but they are having a bit of an outlier season, which is to say they've significantly outplayed their projections. This is why projections are bullshit, bro. Projections don't matter. You got to play the games. They have a good lineup. They gelled as they went on, and I think they became a much better team as time progressed. I mean, their projections didn't include them getting Bieber or Savage during the year. So, also, I'm sure the projections said that George Springer was cashed. So this is a good lesson for us all. You definitely reserve the right to be a better team at any moment. Like, you can improve. That's the thing. You can improve your team. And I don't like when people think that you're a slave to your projections. So I don't know if it's a total outlier. I think it's a above average, outcome in the range of outcomes. But, this was possible. And yes, Savage did get a $4 million signing bonus because first rounders get paid these days. Super paid. So he's fine. Ooh, yep. Yimi Garcia is another one that on the other side of things, that was one of the Jays' main dudes. He got hurt, so he's done. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. Things where everybody, you get to this point, and you kind of have to take inventory of what you have left, and then you go from there. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna say, pay the man now. Let's give him an extension, but I'm sure the Blue Jays will slow play it. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the pre-R bonus pool. I don't think Savage will get anything this year out of that, but he'll be right squarely in the mix for that next year. I think he'll maintain his rookie eligibility too, so he'll be in the mix for Rookie of the Year. And there's big bonuses if you finish in the top few of WAR at your position and you're a 0 to 3. You can get a couple $1 million extra. So Savage, if he keeps it up, he'll get his bag. Don't worry about that. I also saw this. There was a great clip posted of Savage carrying the bag of beer to the bus. Just because you're a World Series hero doesn't mean you're not still a rookie and you still have duties, and I love that he just doesn't complain, does his thing. Very impressive awareness, and you're going to get a lot of props from the vets for that. Yeah, that's what I was saying here too, Mitch. He won't have enough service time or innings to get a year of minor. Yeah, he won't. He's still going to be a rookie next year, which is pretty cool. He's got a shot to go for rookie of the year now. I get how Savage's slider goes straight down, death ball, but how on earth does he get arm side movement? Do you think he has the ability to get more or less of it? I mean, dude, this is tough. I mean, you go and look at Savage. We'll go back to the game again here. Let's just look at like a Teoscar. I'm sure there's a slider in here. Yeah, here's a slider, and this one does feature arm side movement, right? Positive 4.9. I think it's all just because he's so inside the ball. Like, I think when he gets to this point, his hand is... do I have a ball here? Somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. Hold on. I think when he's way up top, I think his hand, most guys, like the hand, if you were to cut a knife right through the ball, you'd be on the right side. You'd be on the outside of the ball, pushing it left. But I think when he comes through, I think somehow his hand is a little bit on the, like, even though it's on this grip probably, it's, if you slice the knife through, it would be coming through the left side. So I feel like he just overcooks it a little bit and backs it up that way. But I'd have to see it in slow motion because it's super weird. Other guys who have high arm slots, the ball still goes left. Verlander has the same arm angle basically, but the ball goes left. So there's something in the way his hand unwinds that is making the ball go to the right. You know, it's just very abnormal. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure how he does it, but I think it has something to do with his hand being like not on the right side of the ball, being neutral or a little bit inside the ball at the moment of release. That's my guess. Pushing it the other direction. This is also a crazy comment. George was on DFA watch this year started, and he was like a freaking hero the whole year. So yeah, probably a natural pronator would be the guess. It's likely the axis of the spin causing it to move back arm side. Yes, I mean, that's the case, but it's because of the angle that he's on it. I'm pretty sure he has a traditional slider grip, but he's just not able to get through the ball like in this fashion and create the spin this way. He's getting through it, but almost like in a backed up way. It's just a unique pitch, man. It's hard to say, man. What is the difference between a changeup, split, and forkball? All right. Changeups are held. I'll give you a quick example from the grip perspective. Changeups are held with like a bunch of different ways, but the biggest hallmark of them is you have multiple fingers on the ball, creating more friction, which slows the ball down. Now, depending on the seam orientation, what guys do nowadays is they get the ball in an orientation that will continue to drive the ball down and to the arm side. This is a very typical changeup grip. This is the one I use where you kind of get to this inner seam and you snap it off and spin it around this way. Now guys are going to a kick change, which kicks the axis even more and creates more depth. That is a changeup. Now a splitter is where you have two fingers. You could use your middles or between these ones. And the idea is to kind of throw it like a fastball, but you have a little bit less energy going because you're not between the seams, so you're not pushing energy straight through the ball. You have less energy because you're a little bit off of it, but the same thing applies. You're looking for some sort of spin effect and seam effect to drive the ball down. Typically, splitters will be a little bit harder than forkballs. A forkball, where the forkball changes, it's the same idea except you're even wider. So now you're even wider, meaning the ball is slipping out of your fingers. You have something of a grip like this. There's different orientations, but you're letting the ball slip out of your hands, which means it has very low spin. It's also slower, so it creates more drop, but it's also tends to be a little more unpredictable because it's a slip pitch. You don't have as much feel for it. So those are the general differences. Slower with less spin. In my mind, forkball, a little bit faster with a little bit more spin, but less spin than a changeup would be a split, and then more spin. Sometimes the velo can change on a changeup, but more fingers on the ball would be a changeup. So that's what I would agree. All right, what else we got here? Helsley also has super high arm angle and has some glove side movement on his slider, so it must be due to his release. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if your arm is a little bit lower, it's a lot easier. If your arm's down here, it's a lot more natural to like get around the ball and swoop it to the left. But when you're up top, it's tough to get around the ball because you have to drive it down, and your arm's already heading into pronation. So it makes a little bit of sense to me that Helsley might create a little bit of arm side movement as well, considering his arm angle is pretty high. Is the split change just an old term now called a splitter? A split change is just a hybrid. It's you're using a splitter grip, but you're thinking of it as a change up. A lot of times with a splitter that they would call a split change, it's like you have a split, but then you add fingers to the side of the ball. This is similar to Gosman's grip, or even Jorge De La Rosa was a guy that I played with. So you might call this a split change. Like you have a split, but the idea is to let it roll off this paddle, these three fingers. I don't know. There's so many variations on splitters, fork balls, change ups, kick changes. I think it's the pitch that has the most variety of grips and, you know, different styles with it. There's guys that throw four seam change ups that carry and don't even have a lot of drop, but they're still effective. So that's what I would guess. Adam, why no pitchers have a secondary pitch like a knuckleball? I think knuckleballs are really hard to throw. I think knuckleballs are really hard to throw at full arm speed, so that's why you don't see it. But I will say, Roki Sasaki's splitter forkball is kind of a knuckleball. It's way down at like 400 RPM, and it kind of has a mind of its own. So in a way, I do think that knuckleballs exist. They're just not called knuckleballs. So that would be my answer for that. I think Jorge De La Rosa has the most lefty splitters in pick tracking. He was a beast with the split. People don't know about him because he played for the Rockies, but Jorge De La Rosa had kind of a crazy, weird career. Very unique career. Let me go take us on a journey for 2 seconds and just show you something. This was my longtime teammate with the Rock Show. 104 and 87 in his career, but I want to show you his record with the Rockies. 86 and 61 as a Rocky. That's really freaking good. And if you look at his numbers at Coors Field, they're also very interesting. Career splits. So this was like something for me to watch a little bit of, like, oh, this is a guy who can succeed at Coors Field. You know, it's a split. It's a guy with big movement and action, but the lack of movement at Coors Field seemed to make him better. Yeah, so at Coors Field, Jorge went 53 and 20. 53 and 20 with a 4.38. That's great for a starting pitcher at Coors Field. So that was interesting. I just wanted to give you a little background on him really quick. And he did it with a lefty splitter. Not a lot of guys threw a lefty splitter. So I wanted to point that out. But he kind of was the all-time winningest pitcher in Coors Field history. So I wanted to show that. Is there a reason righties throw a split more than lefties? No, probably no. But I do think a lot of lefties grow up learning good changeups because they face a lot of righties, so they naturally learn the changeup. Whereas a righty, I think it takes a lot longer to typically go to the changeup. When you're a young kid, you're facing a lot of righties. You're learning breaking balls, fastballs, and breaking balls. A lot of times, you never get around to learning a changeup. That was kind of what happened to me until you start facing the elite lefties and then you try to figure out a changeup later. So I'd say that's probably why. But there's no reason why you won't see a lot of splitters out of lefties moving forward. Now that we know how to throw them, you'll see them. All right, what else we got here? How do you create gyro spin? Okay, gyro spin. So gyro spin is this type of spin, bullet spin. All right, think of it like gears on a clock. So if I'm holding the ball like in a traditional slider grip that I want to throw a gyro spin on, the ball is going to come off this pointer finger last. And the way it works is as your hand comes through and you go into pronation, your hand spins this way, but just like the gears on a clock, it tilts the ball this way, right? So as you come off, you get this motion. So you go to throw it straight, your energy is going towards the plate, but as your hand goes into pronation, which happens to on every single throw, you're left with this gears on a clock motion that sends the ball into gyro spin. So that's how you do it. That's how gyro spin is created. And there's an element of gyro spin on almost every pitch. But that's how you would throw a pure gyro spin ball. Alan Porter called a great game. You got to give respect to Alan Porter. He did a great job in this series. The umpires have been pretty good, I'd say, overall. I think they were a little bit of a factor in Game 3, but not big. We're not crying about umpires the whole time, which I think is good. Shane McClanahan's an example of a lefty who throws a split. It is a split grip, 100%. Is it more typical for changeup to have arm side movement than sliders? Yes. Almost all changeups feature arm side movement. It's very typical. Sliders do not. Sliders have glove side movement, so it's very odd. All right, what else we got? I wonder who started the rumor that splitters hurt the arm better than any other pitch. A lot of this was small sample sizes. It was like, oh, this guy got hurt. Oh, he threw a splitter. And, you can, if you grab a ball at home and you hold the ball normal and then you hold it in a split grip, you will see that more tension is created in your forearm to get into this grip position. But like I've said many times before, if you train it, you can handle it. So it's all about training it. How can a guy go from no feel for their bread and butter pitch just 5 days later have the best version of the pitch they ever had, just like his Savage did? It's called practice, and it's called feel, and it's called making an adjustment. Sometimes this is really what matters the most. I went to a really, really fun dinner the other night with a bunch of former players and a couple current players after Game 4. And I sat at a table with the young player was Lawrence Butler, and he was lucky enough to sit at a table with Gary Sheffield, Joe Mauer, Shane Victorino, Jed Lowry, and myself. And everybody's dropping knowledge on Lawrence Butler the whole time. But I think the number one thing that everybody was trying to get across to him was, if you show up with the right attitude, with a growth mindset and an intellectual curiosity, you'll figure everything out along the way. The biggest differentiator between ball players in their careers is who can continue to make adjustments in the fastest amount of time and get better the quickest. Savage has already shown a great feel for this. He had a horseshit split in Game 1. He has a great split in Game 5. So all his work that he did in between 1 and 5 was super intentional and effective. So I don't know if he had help on that or if that's something he knows how to do on his own. But either way, it was very, very important that he got that pitch back and he figured it out. Who paid? Actually, none of the players paid. That was played by somebody in corporate MLB. But it was really cool, man. Great table. The other table, which I didn't even mention, CC Sabathia, Prince Fielder, Adam Jones, who else? Dylan Betances, Jeremy Guthrie. There's at least a couple of Michael Bourne. Man, sick table. So anyway, really, it was really great to meet Lawrence Butler. Butler was fun to watch this year with the A's. We talked about Kurtz. We talked about Langoliers. We talked about a bunch of other dudes. And just try to help this kid out a little bit with his mental game as he approaches his 3rd season in the big leagues, and he's going to be a really, 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 really good player. Unbelievable athlete. Slider said the slider could be like a 1-seam sinker. So a 1-seam sinker, typically a 2-seam sinker, you throw it off these 2 seams. A 1-seam, you kind of get it on an angle here. So you see this, you're split around this 1 seam, and you try to throw, and you got the 1 seam there, and then the one, and that's the idea. You keep it sideways. And if you have the right arm slot for this, like Zach Britton threw a 1 seam, you'll get the super drop. It doesn't work with my arm slot, but that's the truth. And I am always name dropping. I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to do that, but just giving you the real deal. The real deal, Holyfield. How would you as a pitcher give advice to a young hitter? Do they come, or do they not usually come to pitchers? They do, because they want to know how we think out there, because we're the ones that dictate the action. Their part of their game is all reactionary. They can only deal with what I give them. Me as the pitcher, I dictate all the action. The hitter has to react to what I do. So their training is very different, but they like to know how we think so that they can train accordingly. And then there's just mental stuff, mental game stuff. Like, yeah, I didn't hit, but I made adjustments throughout 20 years of pro ball to keep playing and, to get better and stuff like that. And so ultimately, I think there's a lot of different ways I can help a hitter, even though I wasn't a hitter, right? And also, I've faced elite hitters, so I know what works and doesn't work. So a lot of times you can see the game through your own lens, but still still understand the game from a global perspective in a lot of way. All right, what else we got here? Oh yeah, Lawrence already extended for 7 years, but still very important. Very important for him to get on the right trajectory here, no doubt. Coaches are getting younger. Veterans are getting priced out of the league on guys on rookie contracts. I wonder how many veteran conversations players are used to. Yeah, this is a big deal. There's just not as much of it, especially like Butler. The oldest player on his team was Sevy. That's crazy. You know, like Sevy's still a young player in the game in a way. He's in his low 30s, I believe. You know, there used to always be some salties, some guys that were old and had a lot of knowledge. If you were lucky enough to get close to them, you could soak it up. But yeah, I do think this is a little bit of an issue in terms of young players getting mentored. But again, this is the way it goes. Yeah, okay, we can do a little show and tell real quick because we've already kind of looked at Game 5 for the most part. This ball is a World Series ball from way back in the day, and a lot of the autographs are kind of faded, but Casey Stengel is the first one right there. We got a lot of glare here, but Casey Stengel is there. Can't really see that very good, and a whole bunch of other Yankees. It's one of the Yankees teams' World Series balls from back in the day. The puck, the hockey puck is just a jelly cat. My kids collect a lot of jelly cats, so we have a hockey one. I love hockey. It's one of my favorite sports, hoping my son will play. Other than that, what else we got? Got a couple of awards. These are my 2 Good Guy Awards. I won the one in New York and in Boston. I never won any real awards, so I had to win the Miss Congeniality Awards. And the puck is from my daughters. Yep. They hooked it up. We also have this trophy, which I was given to at Northeastern. It's like a Cy Young trophy. If you guys don't know, there's a big Cy Young statue on Northeastern's campus. It actually looks exactly like this dude. And so when I got drafted in the first round, they hooked me up. I also have, it's hard maybe to see it. I can tilt this down. Mission 28. This is the box that the Yankees gave me right before they gave me my offer to sign in free agency. It had swag for the family. It had an iPad in there with my highlights and talking about how they wanted to use me and stuff like that. It was just really cool when they showed up with this Yankees box. So we have that on there. This is my Northeastern sophomore year America East Conference Pitcher of the Year award, the only main pitching award I ever received. So that's pretty cool. Got some cigars. Oh, I have some, this Halloween time, so I have some carnivorous plants here. Venus flytrap. This is a Hyrox of some type. So we try to get real spooky as much as we can. So anyway, wanted to share that. What else we got? Here we go. Fun matchup last night between a pitcher calling 100% of his own pitches and another totally deferring to his catcher. Must be so nice to fully trust your partner in a huge game. Oh my God. So I don't mean to name drop again, but I talked about this quite a bit with Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer obviously was a catcher prior to the PitchCom. His last year was 2018. So there was analytics in the game, there was information in the game, but there wasn't this dynamic of the pitchers calling every pitch. He seemed to be quite concerned about this. Like, the rapport between catcher and pitcher is very important. He felt that, of course, the pitcher should always throw what they want to be convicted in. He told stories about how he would call a pitch, they'd shake it. He'd call another pitch, they'd shake it. And if he wasn't sure, he would run out there to the mound and he would always tell the pitcher, well, what do you got? What's your thinking? And no matter what the pitcher would say, he would say, all right, great, but you better fucking execute it. And he didn't say fuck because it's Joe Mauer. He probably said, well, you better execute it. And then he ran back there and he would always say that, I'm just going to take this off. Everybody's complaining about my sound. He was saying that, he wanted the pitchers to have conviction, but he liked having the back and forth of it. And there was a lot of pitchers that didn't know what to throw. He's like, what do they do in that circumstance? Well, I'm like, then they don't call the game. They just, like, Kirk's calling all these pitches. So it is interesting. 2 different ways to go about it. I think it's kind of cool, both sides of it, that you can call your own game from the mound, but also that you can have a back and forth with the catcher, which I think is pretty fun. He didn't mind. He didn't even mind the one knee down. He thought it made a lot of sense, keeps guys off their feet. But he said there's always a time and a place where I would not trust it, and I would go 2 feet down. Wait, am I not on that mic today? That's so weird. Let me see. I think I am. I think I'm on the mic. I don't know. We'll check it all out after this. What percentage of the core comes from Adam? And then 0%. You guys hear me or no? I don't know. We're going to figure this out. It's getting frustrating. I'll say that. All right. No taps. So maybe my mic got taken down when I switched some things out. People are saying sound is fine, sound is fine, sound is fine, whatever. How much of nerding out does your wife understand from the beginning to now? Oh, she understands. She's been with me long enough. She knows a lot about baseball, like a ton now. She knows about inherited runners and leverage and all sorts of stuff. She's been crushing it. Do you think this is just a Cinderella year for the Blue Jays, or will they keep winning moving forward? Well, it's a challenge every year in the American League East. So nothing's guaranteed, but I think they'll be in the mix. They're going to run a big payroll. They obviously have some good young players. What's going to happen with Bichette? There's a lot of questions, but I expect them to be pretty good either way. Yes, Adam is the one who learns from Brett. That's true. That's true. That's true. All right. So that was my Jorge De La Rosa stuff. We've already done these Savage. There's a whole video on him, so I don't want to harp on him too much more. Dodgers side. Let's go look at curious of Snell's usage in this game. I didn't really get a great look at that. This is one more thing I'd like to check up on. All right, Blake Snell. 28% curveball, 26% changeup, 23% fastball, 22% slider. I mean, pretty hard to guess when he's basically a quarter each pitch. Whiff rate 36% is still pretty good. 50% whiff on changeup. Velocity was up. Exit velo, they hit some balls hard. 89.7, that's a little bit above average. First pitch strikes, 60%, so not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. I don't know. I was just curious to see if he went a completely crazy direction. Obviously, we know he pivoted off fastball pretty fast. Went to the off speed. More sliders than I realized, too. And we won't see Blake again this year. But I don't know. Just trying to take a look at it, see if there was anything there. All right, last few questions, and then I'm going to call it. Back to the solo shot. Can you show us how you throw the sweeper? Of course. I like to put my middle finger right here, right in this middle section. And then I put the thumb opposite of that so that it's a pinch. There's a pinch. I feel like I have a direct pinch. Lay the other finger on top. And all I would think about is getting my hand out as far as possible. And then I'm not trying to scoop under it or turn it. I'm just trying to stay right here in this angle. So when the ball comes out, it's got this spin, but it's slightly pointed down, and the seam shift will carry it straight left. So that's how I did that. That was the grip. Do you think you would have benefited from the challenge ABS system? Yeah, probably. I can think of a few plays over the years that I would have definitely challenged. But there's probably some that would have went against me, and I don't think about it as much anymore. So maybe, maybe not. But I think it's fun. Definitely entertaining. Everything but the fastball got chased, which makes sense for Snell. All right. Does Yamamoto give Canada a trick and go complete game shutty, or will the Jays get a treat and win the series? This game could go either way, man. I'm not very good on predictions. I do expect Yamamoto to show up and be good. We'll see if the Jays can adjust to his approach. There was a ton of splitters early, cutters in the mid count, and then he went kitchen sink the third time through and fourth time through. I don't know. Can they get hits off this dude? He's been so good. I'm expecting him to be good again. I guess we'll have to watch and see. Tomorrow we will do a full Game 6 preview, so we'll get on to that big time. I'm not going back to Toronto. We got Halloween tomorrow. Definitely can't miss Halloween with the kids. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I got a Superman costume right here that I got to wear. So we're ready. We're ready. Go-to candy on Halloween. I'm a chocolate person for the most part. So M&M's, Hershey's, things like that. I'm not really anything crazy, but it should be fun. I love Halloween. Halloween's one of the best. And we have a really spooky looking day today in the Northeast. A lot of rain, leaves all over the place, a little dreary. But overall, very, very cool. All right, that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Game 6 preview tomorrow morning. Enjoy the night off of baseball. This was an awesome stream. We've had basically over 200 people almost the whole time. I think we got into 300 at one point, which was a new record. You guys have been amazing supporting me. Go watch the Trey Savage video. He's a legend now. Officially stamp him. Postseason World Series legend. So we'll see what Yamamoto has to say about it in Game 6. If Toronto can get this done in Rogers Center, or if we'll have an epic Game 7. It should be interesting to watch. But tomorrow morning, we'll break down everything about Game 6 as we get ready for it. So thanks so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right? Thanks. Bye-bye.